It's news at 10. Bong. Russell Wilson Network. Hope you all were safe and well, my friends. Busy day today. We had the ratings at lunchtime. We had the Hammers headlines. We spoke about, Daddy Kudzinski, £1 billion deal for 15 years for supplying energy to the national grid. What does that mean for West Ham? We spoke about how much money West Ham is earning in the Europa League Conference League at the moment, and also the West Ham women in terms of appointing Baroness Brady, Tara Warren, the marketing director at West Ham, and the head of ticketing, Nicola Key, into their board of directors, which is quite interesting news, I thought. 3 stories for news at 10. Good evening. Hope you're well. Or good morning if you're that side of the Atlantic. No, that side of the world, or good afternoon if you're that side of the Atlantic. 3 transfer rumour stories. No, 2 transfer rumour stories. 1 update on a injury. Let's start with the title screen. In terms of SWP. Oh, I love SWP. Yeah, James Ward-Prowse, for those of you who aren't as down with the acronyms. So apparently West Ham could get a bargain deal for James Ward-Prowse as Mr. Rice's replacement this summer. We've come to accept that Rice will probably go this summer. I said he's more likely to go than stay. And we know that Moyes has already been identifying potential replacements. Last year, Moyes, was trying to bring in people before we sell Rice. So, in terms of the likes of putting bids in for Calvin Phillips and also Ward-Prowse as well. But ultimately both proved relatively fruitless as Phillips ended up at Man City instead. And Ward-Prowse stayed at Southampton. Indeed, I think we even put a loan offer for Phillips in January as well. Ward-Prowse, they was wanting 70 million price tag on his head when we came sniffing originally. But the likes of Sky Sports are reporting, and they've suggested that West Ham will try again for Southampton's captain and star man this summer. Obviously, we found ourselves in let's be honest, an unexpected. We found ourselves in, to be fair, an unexpected relegation battle this year, I think. And in a similar territory to Southampton, who to be honest, quite used to it, to be fair. Obviously, we beat Forest 4-0 the weekend, and that has given us real hope, particularly after the performance yesterday, I thought, against Man United, of clawing away. The same can't be said for Southampton. They're pretty much right bottom of the league now. They lost to Grimsby in the FA Cup yesterday as well. So, and they've got some really, really tough games coming up, and they're looking, to be honest, well, they are one of the most likely sides to be dropping out of the division into the Championship next season. If that happens, West Ham could get a bargain deal for JWP. It's expected if they drop down that they'll sell their star man and arguably most valuable assets to plug any financial hole that relegation digs for people, particularly the lack of parachute payments and stuff. Ward-Prowse would have to move to probably a Premier League side to protect also his place in the England squad as well. And Southampton wouldn't be demanding 70 million in terms of the fee they previously quoted to West Ham. They'll be obviously looking at something, maybe even half that, maybe even a third of that, really, to try and claw some money back. He's also their highest earning player at roughly 100 grand a week. I think it comes in our favour that West Ham, it seems unlikely that any, I'd say, of the top clubs would come in for Ward-Prowse, because, most of them are probably looking to sign Declan Rice, for example, and he's 28 as well, so he comes a little bit older than most people would, like the likes of City and Liverpool. Particularly also with someone like James Maddison, who's on the peripherals of a summer transfer move. He'll be one of the ones. Him and Rice will be two of the, and Bellingham as well, be attracting the bigger clubs. So that will, be our favour in terms of going for someone like Ward-Prowse, I'd suggest. It could put us in the top bracket of clubs trying to sign him, I'd say. He's one of the best free kick takers, not in the Premier League, in world football. And it's something that we desperately need to get back on track, is our set plays. And he would definitely up that for sure in terms of delivery. And I mean, when we originally looked at him in the, I think it was in the summer, wasn't it? He sort of turned down the sort of advances. He was happy to stay in Southampton. I think a few of the I think Merce came out and said it. I think even Jim White and Simon Jordan said it was a bit strange that, why he wanted to stay at Southampton and not sort of progress his career. At the time, he's got a settled family, he's got kids, they're at schools, and I totally get that. But with the threat of relegation, the threat of his income being drastically, I imagine there is a relegation clause in his contract with Southampton regularly in the relegation zones. He'll be earning less money. So whether that means a move to keep that level of income going, who knows? But we'll keep an eye on that one. Another one who we've been linked to previously with a bit more development is the Atalanta striker, Duvan Zapata. Now, West Ham, obviously, we tried to get him last year as well. Didn't we? And we didn't sign the forms quick enough, or they didn't sign it. It was a weird thing that didn't happen. And then I think we looked at him again in January, but apparently he's set to be sold for just 10 million quid. I think at the time, those two times we were quoted about 25 million pounds for him, I think, or something like that. But apparently they're going to be selling him in the summer after he's had a fallout with his manager at Atalanta, according to the Sunday People and a couple of other newspapers. We joined the race to sign him in the winter, with the striker favouring a move to London over the likes of Everton, but it didn't happen. But the Sunday People have now shared that the 31-year-old is at a bust up with the Atalanta manager, Gianpiero Giuseppe. There we go. And he's now to be offered to clubs for a price of around £10 million due to the fact that he's entering his last year of contract. He's 31 years old though, and he's a striker, he's a forward. Could it be an upgrade to Antonio in the summer? We know Antonio he's mentioned on his Footballers podcast that he's looking for maybe another 3 to 4 years in the top flight. I can't see it personally at West Ham, but maybe it's a case of him going to a Forest or a Wolves or someone like that, or maybe a promoted side that's coming up, Burnley, someone like that, for example. Obviously knows Josh Cullen there already. And then taking that £8 million, whatever we get for Antonio, and buying Zapata in. It would be an upgrade. There's obviously no sell-on clause, but he won't. And obviously, hopefully, the likes of Scarles is still around after the summer. Danny Ings, and Barmer as well. He could come in as really complement that strike force potentially. Who knows? I mean, I think it'd be great in the same way that Antonio had his purple patch in the Premier League. Zapata is at that level, so he's 31, but I think he's still got a lot to offer. You get a couple of good years out of him, I reckon, and 10 million quid. All he needs is to score you goals to get you back into Europe next year, or to get you firing for a cup next year, and he's paid his money out, hasn't he? And lastly, talking about next seasons and pathways and things like that. Obviously, Ollie Scarles is one of the guys that the club rate very highly, and he's one of the players that Nobes is trying to get into this little pathway for the under-18s. And obviously, they've been very successful this season. We find out very shortly who they're is currently still playing, who they're going to be playing in the semi-finals of the under-18s. The FA Youth Cup as well. But he went off injured in the quarterfinals and looked a bit upset about that. He's been pictured with a protective boot around his foot. But apparently, according to ex-WHU employee, it's sort of a precautionary type thing. And he's expected to be back in just a few weeks, which is great news, particularly with the FA Youth Cup semi-finals on the horizon. He was quite saying, Ollie Scarles, people have asked me about his injury situation, was because he went off injured in the academy game against Ipswich. It was really good to see some academy players. He went off injured in that, and he's been in a protective boot for the last few days since that game. But they'll only think he'll be out for maybe 2 weeks. So hopefully he'll come back soon, and hopefully that will mean he'll be able to hopefully at least feature in the squad for the semi-finals, and hopefully be fully fit for the finals if we get through against either Southampton or Preston in the semi-finals. And that's it, my friends. That is your news at 10. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, busy day Friday. We've got a press conference. We'll have all the stuff getting ready for the Brighton game. Yeah, we have press conferences. We've got opposition chats. We'll have predicted 11s all over this weekend. So make sure you keep on top of everything and subscribe to the channel and hit notification bell so you're not made aware anytime we put new content on. Sorry, I'm terribly windy. I just realised I got my old top on anyway. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, come on, you irons. Sweet dreams, my friends. Bye-bye.